Hello and welcome to the latest instalment of MFS's Let's Talk Property podcast, where we connect with industry experts to explore an array of topics within the dynamic world of property. Before we dive into today's episode, I just want to take a moment to share a quick disclaimer. MFS are a bridging loan and buy-to-let mortgage provider and are not financial advisors. The opinions and views expressed in this episode are personal to the host and the guests and may not reflect the views of MFS. For more information on MFS, you can find us at www.mfsuk.com and be sure to keep up with our podcast updates on Instagram at MFS_LTP. Now let's get started. Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Let's Talk Property with Market Financial Solutions podcast. Today we're going to be talking all things architecture and we have Lucia who will be joining us here today. So Lucia, thank you very much for coming along today.
Thank you very much for inviting me here. It's a pleasure for me to be interviewed by
Amazing.
you and your team. So today we are talking about architecture.
Indeed.
And how is involved with the property market.
Yeah.
So what is architecture? Architecture is basically a kind of a combination of art and science. Is historical, can be considered one of the five arts with sculpture, painting, poetry and music, but it's the one that is more important for the society and for the environment. And architecture was basically when you see an architectural work, can also identify the prosperity and achievement of our society, basically.
Okay, that's great. So if you could just maybe talk through, for our listeners and for myself, just talk us through the process from sort of start to finish when you when you bring on a project and all the bits in between you sort of need to do to get it to the completed stage on behalf of the client.
Okay, basically we mainly have been appointed by clients.
Yeah.
Because they want to achieve the best return of the investment from the property they have bought or they intend to buy. So at the beginning we try to understand, we have a deep chat with the client, we try to understand which one are their needs, what they want to achieve, and then we go through all the feasibility studies of the project. If it is, for example, an existing buildings, we look at the building regulation and the local guideline of the particular borough of where is located the building.
Yeah, sure.
If it is a new land, or if it is like a building that can be demolished and we can build something new, we have a look at the surrounding area, for example, the height of the building, the distance between the building that is object of our refurbishment. Yeah. And then we do these feasibility studies. We understand what can be possible to achieve, what can be basically can be accepted as well by the planning department. And after doing that, we pass through creating some solution for the client that are basically more or less creating some volumes. Okay. We don't go too much in details, but it's an initial study and also creating a new layout, for example, if it is an existing building, and then the client choose basically which one can be the most effective option. And after that, we prepare all the drawings, all the supportive document for presenting the planning application. And after we are waiting for the planning application to be approved, and then during this period of time, we can start to prepare the building regulation drawings, technical drawings, and also construction drawings. That building regulation drawings are very important because we need to comply with the fire regulation also.
I suppose that covers things like accessing the site while the work's being carried out. Obviously the traffic effects it will have, especially if you're turning a building into apartments maybe or something along those lines.
Exactly, yes. And plus as well we need to, if it is an assisted building, for assisted building I mean a building that is already used in the past. Now there are additional requirements that we need to achieve to save energies, for example. So we need to consider adding additional insulation. And so all these little things that are important, otherwise we are not going to be able to start, basically. And after that, I mean, we prepare also details that are like, for example, scale 1 to 10, where we analyze every little part of the building. We avoid the cold bridge, basically creating a nice and a continuous insulation, for example, between the walls and the roof, those type of connections. And the next stage is to go for a tender process. So we normally try to give the drawings to a few main contractors.
Makes sense.
And we give them the kind of material we want to use, the schedule of work, and also a kind of a timeline, an indicative timeline, because it's then up to them how do they want to schedule their works according with their
of course. Especially the larger projects, because I can imagine some of the stuff you do can be quite a sizable scale, so there's a lot more moving parts, a lot more things to sort of consider. Would you say, you know, the client's vision and their dreams one of your most important points? Because I suppose if you don't know what it is they exactly want, what you're producing, you need to make sure it fits what they need, basically. So I suppose that's the deep dive with your client at the first instance is quite an important one, because he gets a picture of what they're looking to build. You could tell them what's feasible and what's not.
Yes, basically, sometimes when we work with developers, of course they want to maximize the space, for example, achieve the maximum number of flats. And sometimes we cannot make rooms very small because we need anyway to comply with some regulations. Or maybe there are also rules that relate to the size of the flats. It is another aspect very important to consider when we do a project. Or if we talk about a new land, sometimes we try to occupy all the space possible, but then we get rejected maybe by the planning officer, because we need to leave some green areas, some distance from the other buildings.
And Section 106 stuff and all of that, everything that sort of comes with it. And I suppose when you're designing stuff, you've got to be mindful of what's surrounding the building and what's already there a lot of the time, haven't you?
Exactly.
Is that a challenge, or is it something that, you know, there's normally a quite a simple solution to?
It depends. I mean, as long as you improve the aesthetics of the building, that you don't create something that is really too bulky, for example, for the area, then if you also, for the material that you use, if you use something that is much the local
fitting with everything else,
then you are a higher chance to get it approved. And also you need to think also to the society that you need to add value to the project, but not only for the client, but also for the people who are around, because you also the little things of overlooking, for example, is something that I found sometimes very challenging. Also, when I had a project where we needed to demolish an existing warehouse, and on the back of the building there was just in plan a volume, no even windows. So the application got approved because I created like a solution that was not affecting the privacy of the future building on the back. So in that way is something that we can overcome the challenge. There is always a solution, basically.
And it's your job to find it, right?
Yes, exactly.
So that sort of leads me on to the next question. What would you say the importance of, if someone's undertaking a project, of getting an architect involved at the very early stages? It's obviously would you say it's a very key part?
I would recommend to do so, because, for example, if you buy a new property, it's fine. But if you are going to buy an existing building or a new land, it's quite important that you are going to appoint an architect since the early stage of the project, and probably also before, because it can help you to understand which one is the potentiality of a property, of a land. If there are structural problems, for example, how much would it cost the refurbishment, and eventually also the creation of a new building. I mean, which one is the maximum height that you can achieve compared to what is in the surrounding area?
So a lot of it, the money you spend at the beginning can save you a hell of a lot of money moving at the back end. Even if you could be potentially looking at a building, you think, right, we're going to do this with it. Speak to someone like yourself and says, well, actually, based on everything that's gone on in the area, more than likely you're not going to be able to do that, but you can do this. I suppose it is good for, you're a bit of a sounding board as well for potential new clients that are buying something, whether they're going to be able to do what they want to do, really.
Yes, and also we can also, they need to consider us like an investment for the future, because we can save time to them. We can find a technical and structural solution that they can save money. Also create like a sustainable building, so you don't need to waste a lot of money during the use of the building or during the maintenance of the building if you think ahead. And also we follow the project during construction. So basically you have somebody with technical skills that is able to understand straight away which one can be the problem that maybe the main contractor didn't see, for example. So you are able to understand earlier. Otherwise, for example, I had projects, the client unfortunately didn't see something, and when we went on site, the builder already built a part of the wall that was not correct, so they needed to demolish it and they start again. So in this kind of situation, you save, for example, 2 weeks of work. I mean, and then
and the amount of money as well. There's always cost implications with mistakes, and there's nothing more frustrating than doing something twice when you should have done it right the first time. You probably see a lot of that, didn't you, over the years. So when you're taking, is there any specific approach that you have when, you know, obviously I suppose the approach is different depending on the project or anything like that, but is your initial sort of thought process very similar for each project, whether it be converting commercial into resi or refurbishment? Is it sort of the same mindset and then sort of goes different directions as you move further along, or?
I will say the first is when you talk with the client, is more or less the same, trying to understand their needs, what they want to achieve, also from the point of view of let's say business or return of the investment, but then every project is different basically, and also the things change when you are dealing with a developer or with a private client that is he wants to, for example, build his dreamed house, for example, or whilst a developer want to achieve the best from the property, so they want to have the best layout, very well thought layout, and the best finishes, because they want to also attract tenants, buyers, and also this one is quite important. It's quite important aspect to consider basically, because at the end of the day you need to sell fast and you need to rent it
and
fast.
It's not as easy currently at the moment, I'd say. The exit is obviously the key thing, and that's always in your mind. It's the saleability and the rentability of these sorts of properties once they're done. And obviously you employ and work with a lot of contractors. You know, relationships are key in any business, I'd say. So what is the importance of the relationship between you, the architect, and the contractor that's building it? It's obviously very key, isn't it, that you can work well together?
Yes, it is, because basically you need to build up trust between each other, because it will save time. We work for the same scope to get the best for the client, basically. So we need to be sure that they use the material specified in the building regulation drawings. We need to be sure that they are on time. We need to be also helpful, especially in assisted buildings. They might so when we start during the design process, everything is closed up. The ceiling doesn't allow you to see the structure of the floor. So then we need to help them to address eventual problem, and at the same time we need to be very quick to create a response to help them to go and finish up the work, to be on schedule. And we might help them to find a more easier structural solution with the help, of course, of the engineers as well. And plus, if we have a problem and we have a good relationship, we are able to face the problem in a better way.
Work together as a team to overcome it. And I suppose, you know, you're saying your point to them is, right, if we done it this way, we'll be okay. That's them agreeing with you. Those guys doing the work. And I suppose each project has its own interesting part where something always going to go wrong, isn't it?
Yeah. For example, we had a project it was a new development that was coming from an existing building, and we didn't think about the type of foundation. So I mean, we had an hypothesis of the type of foundation that the work could be there, and actually they were much more deeper. So we need to help them to overcome the problem. So we the design basically. So we do with the design. They help us as well, because they say, okay, we found these things on site that was not supposed to be there. So what we can do, and then we work out with the various consultant, because it's also in this case, for example, it's important the input that we receive from the engineers.
Yeah. Because I always say a lot of the work, the most important work in any building project, you never see because it's always in the ground, isn't it?
Exactly, yes. Exactly.
You know, the engineers, they get really to see much what they get up to, but obviously you guys get to see the beautiful finish of a structure. But without the engineers correctly preparing the groundworks and doing everything necessary, the rest of it can't happen. So but I think it's very interesting what you do. And then obviously clients are different. So you work with, I take it from your high net worth individual that's building something nice and shiny in central Mayfair to someone that's building a block of 30 apartments, maybe. Is that sort of the case, or is it sort of mixed bag of what type of clientele you work with?
Basically, also the same. So I work on the same type of project. So I work with. I've been able to work on this kind of building up to 500 flats.
Amazing.
And also, but maybe also the same developer, two different kind of projects. One that is more luxury, and they concentrate more on the, yes, of course, also on the best layout as possible, using
it's the finishes that are going to sell it.
Exactly, plus the finishes. So I work with both, but also with new developers. They are going to start with rear extension of conversion, HMO. Also, there are people that they come to me and they want to convert commercial offices and to residential.
We see a lot of that at the moment.
A lot, yes.
And I think it's good, you know, it's for the environment side of things as well. You're repurposing an old building. Exactly. Obviously, you know, as long as it's structurally sound, the planning and the permissions needed are normally slightly easier because you're not ripping anything down. Is that a popular one you're seeing amongst developers at the moment?
It's very popular because now you can do this conversion. It depends. You need to go through all the local rules, but some of them you possibly convert them through permitted development into residential. So basically, it's very easy to and faster.
A lot less red tape. I think there's so many buildings in, especially London, that fit really well for this, that maybe an old office block where more people are working from home. We're seeing a lot of people downsize offices and everything else. I suppose that part of it's keeping you really busy at the moment.
Yes, it keeps me busy since 2018 this part.
So, yeah, definitely works there. Definitely works.
That's the best way to approach of a commercial building or an office building that basically you have already the structure. You just need to do a little adjustment inside in the layout, updated the insulation, but then is much faster. There is less waste of materials, and so there is like a return for the investment and for the
Yeah.
and also for the environment and
Yeah.
for the social
And the impact on the local area while it's being built, because some of these larger projects, they could take 3, 4, 5 years or something
Yes.
like that. And I suppose were you just changing the internal layout, you could probably half that just
Yes.
alone, just on that side of it.
And sometimes, of course, you need to get the planning application. You
Yeah.
can also change the facade. This is something that I did. You can extend on the top with additional 2 floors.
Yeah.
So there is as long as the structure is strong enough,
To
you
withhold
can
that.
also increase the volume of the building, create other 9 flats or.
It's always
at
the aim of the
least-
game, isn't
yes,
it? Try and make as much
exactly.
space as humanly possible. So.
Yes.
I mean, with regards to, I suppose a lot of the business you get is word of mouth, where you've worked with one developer and they've said, hey, do you know what, we've worked with this lady, she's absolutely amazing. Is that how, do you do much marketing for your business, or is it a lot of word of mouth from people seeing previous projects?
At the beginning it was more like word of mouth, because I got recommended by people they know me already, and then you need to, I find quite useful advertising social media,
Yeah.
just to let people know what do you do, and also going to network event, meet new people, exchange ideas. And this is the best way also to work, because it's always better to work with somebody you know already.
Yeah.
You are going to build up a kind of relationship.
And you already know when you sort of click with people and you think, do you know what, we're actually going to work really well together.
Yes.
And I suppose it makes any job easy when you work with people you enjoy doing the sort of project with. So what are the key aspects to consider when designing a project for yourself? What are your main sort of 2 or 3 points that you normally need to sort of look at?
So 3 points is optimizing the space, so create the best layout that you could do for the project, saving saving square meters, and make the best use of them, basically. And then sustainability of the project, do the changes that really will add value to the project, and at the end I think the interior design is the one that is very important, and
Sort of brings it to life, doesn't it?
Exactly, yes, because I mean, the client or the potential buyer, this is what they see, but also in the long run, also create the right sustainable building, and this is what.
I think the green initiative is quite a key one for people when designing buildings now, isn't it? With the EPC ratings and anything that can be renewable that be thrown into it. You're seeing more people moving to that way now?
Yes, they are a bit concerned about new technologies such as air source.
Because it normally costs more money.
Yes, they do, but there are also willing to use them. Is because they are just a bit scared, and but I see them. They are more conscious about the environment, and also about energy lost during the use of the building.
That's a big one.
Increase of the bills.
Well, especially in the build to rent space, because everyone, if you're a renter, you're going to go wherever's got the highest EPC rating, because internally it's going to save you money in the long run. So yeah, I'm fully for it, and I think it's only going to get better. Technology is going to change. There's going to be so many. It's something that could be really innovative, and there's going to be loads of brilliant ideas coming up, I'd say, which is exciting to watch. And I'll certainly be watching what you'll be doing with that over the up and coming months. So obviously everyone knows the property market hasn't been the easiest over the last 12, 18 months. No doubt you're working with some clients that are now sort of here, there and everywhere. How has it affected your business? Are you finding some developers slowing down while they wait for interest rates and the market to get better?
Yes, I mean there are different aspects. For client with development background, basically they face also increase of the cost of the materials as well. homeowners that maybe are more willing to buy, they are a bit more conscious because there are the interest rate that are increasing. So yes, but I see since January that they think is slightly improving.
Yeah, I think so. And we're seeing it here. We're seeing a lot more people come back to the market, especially in the buy-to-let space, because I think there's more good news than we've had in previous sort of months, that there may be some slow changes coming into place. What do you think? What do you see? So, do you see any major changes in the building industry over the next 6 to 12 months?
Probably yes, because they just updated the permitted development rights.
Okay, interesting.
There are more permissions, so basically a potential developer, they are more willing to buy because they don't need to get the planning application approved. They are more secured of the investment. They are more secure also to respect the deadline with the project. So I think this one will improve, and also the different borough, all the borough of London, for example, they are in need of new houses.
Yeah.
So basically,
the brownfield sites are going to be quite a big one as well, aren't they? I know they're pushing it, but obviously it all comes down to the infrastructure that's there. Will what they're building be supported by what's already existing? Will stuff needed to be added? But I'm with you. I think there's going to be some really exciting movement over the next few months. I think I'm personally seeing some of my developer clients coming back to the market with sites they may not have, they've already owned and purchased, but they've sort of parked to one side for the minute. I think you'll see the rise of small developers doing sort of 2 to 4 properties maybe. Those guys will start coming back in.
True.
The big guys always need to transact, I'd always say, because they've already got so many people to employ, so much going on. It's not as easy as just to stop and say, right, we're going to have a brief, because you've still got all these overheads. So before we go, we'd like to sort of do a quick fire roundup of the episodes. Just for our listeners who may be interested in architecture or building a property, what sort of tips and advice would you give to people that maybe someone that's looking to move into architecture, they may be, I don't know, studying at school, ready to move into architecture, or someone that is looking to move into development? What sort of key pointers would you give these people?
So to people, so let's start from people that they want to start to be developers, for example. Basically get some training courses.
Yep.
Because there are some parts that can be quite challenging, and also get the support of people who did already. It can be
mentors,
like
really.
Mentors, exactly, or the support of people like me, architects, or and for a new, let's say, teenager, they think to join architecture. They really need to like architecture because
it takes a long. How many years does it take to become a fully qualified architect?
Sorry. For a master's degree, you have 5 years. Then you need to do some. You need to be trained.
Workplace program, effectively.
And plus, you need to do the exam to become a fully qualified and chartered architect. So let's say, if you are fast, 6 years at least, but then you need to build up, because everything is not finished after you do the master degree.
Okay.
You need to build up your experience. So I would say other 10 years after you finish your master to become really.
It is something you need to be dedicated to.
Yes. Yes.
But then once you get there, you know the possibilities are endless of what you can design, what you can build, and everything else.
It's very rewarding, yes.
That's amazing. Well, I'd just like to say a massive thank you for coming on today. We've loved having you on here. If you could please tell everyone where we can find you, whether it be LinkedIn and social media, and then we can have some people maybe follow your journey and your stories. If you'd like to tell us where we can find you.
First of all, thank you to you as well for inviting me here. It was a pleasure to have this little chat.
We like it. We love it.
And so you can find me in LinkedIn as Lucia Piccinini, on Instagram, same name, Facebook as well, and you can also have a look at my website, is luciapiccinini.com.
All right. Well, look, thank you again for coming along. We've really enjoyed having you today. And good luck for the rest of the year. And I'll be looking forward to seeing some of your projects later down the line.
Definitely. Thank you.
Amazing. If you've enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to subscribe, like and share. You can access our previous episodes in all the usual places, as well as on our website at www.mfsuk.com/podcast. You can also stay connected with us on Instagram at MFS_LTP. See you next time.